Embrace your youth, create your legacy. Now, for millions of Nigerian youth, this isn't just a catchy slogan, it's a way of life. Now, every day across the country, young people are fighting through the odds to chase their dreams, mark their marks, or rather make their marks and create a future they can't be proud of. Whether it's in tech, creative industries, business, or community work, Nigerian youths are rising to the occasion, working behind the scenes, pushing boundaries and reshaping the world around them. Now, on International Youth Day, it shines the light on the resilience and untapped potential of the youth. This year's theme focuses on digital innovation and sustainable development, and it couldn't be more fitting if you ask me. Now, with just a smartphone and an internet connection, Nigerian youths are achieving incredible things, turning ideas into realities and breaking barriers in ways that were once unimaginable. But behind the scenes of this digital revolution, there's also a deeper story. Now, it's one of great determination and struggle. Nigerian youths are navigating a tough economic and social landscape, facing huge unemployment, limited opportunities, and rising living costs. Despite these hurdles, however, Nigerian youths keep pushing forward. They are creating innovative solutions, forming networks that transcend borders, and showing the world just how much we are capable of achieving. And their story is one of hope, adaptability, and sheer determination. They're not just following the trends, they're leading them, they are in them, and they're crafting the digital future of Nigeria and the continent. But that journey isn't without challenges. Many are grappling with realities of unemployment, as I said earlier on, underemployment, and a lack of access to the education they need to thrive. But yet, instead of losing hope, these challenges have become fuel, driving moments for change, for justice, better governance. So, on Late Edition this week, we engage youth leaders, including, of course, the very youthful Minister of Youth Development, to discuss the resilience and challenges facing Nigerian youth and how they are coping with them all. I am Claire Adelabu Abdulrazak, and I thank you for joining us on the program. So let's quickly begin our introductions. And Dr. Jamila Ibrahim Biu is a 37-year-old medical doctor, politician, and development practitioner. She's renowned for her dedication to public service and advocacy for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. She's a graduate of the University of Ilorin, where she earned her MBBS. So I will call Dr. Jamila Ibrahim, who furthered her expertise by obtaining a health management and leadership certification from Washington University. Now, before her current role as the Minister of Youth Development, she served as the Senior Special Assistant to the Governor of Kwara State on SDGs, reflecting her commitment to healthcare and sustainable development. She's also the daughter of Ibrahim Issa Biu, a notable figure who has held several ministerial and legislative positions in Nigeria. Now, Dr. Ibrahim made very significant contributions to Governor Abdulrahman Abdulrazak's campaign, and I want to be specific, during the 2019 general election. Now, I presume that eventually led to her appointment as the national president of the All Progressives Congress, APC Young Women Forum. Now, her humanitarian efforts include volunteering in the northeastern region of Nigeria as part of the Presidential Committee on Northeast Initiative, where she also supported vulnerable and internally placed persons. In addition to her domestic engagements, Dr. Ibrahim represented Nigeria and Kwara State on various international platforms, and I just name a few: United Nations and the African Unions. She's also been recognized with several prestigious awards, including Clean Nigeria Ambassador Award for her contributions to water, sanitation, and hygiene wash sector, as well as the United Nations Peace Ambassador Award by the International Association of World Peace Advocates. With a broad background in healthcare, politics and development, coupled with her international recognition, Dr. Ibrahim brings an extensive array of experience and passion to her role as Nigeria's youngest Minister of Youth Development. And my second guest, Honorable Fatima Haman, is equally a young, dynamic politician and a businesswoman. Known for her resilience and passion for leadership, she holds a first degree in travel, tourism, and hospitality management, and further honed her skills at Harvard Business School in Boston, where she completed a professional course in strategic business management. Currently, she is pursuing a master's program in corporate governance and leadership at the University of Abuja here in Nigeria. Driven by her commitment to public service, Honorable Fatima Haman made history as the youngest female candidate for the House of Representatives for the Ahmad Buhari Federal Constituency during the March 2023 general elections, now representing the All Progressives Congress APC. Her dedication didn't stop there. She was appointed Brigade Secretary for the FCT PCC mobilization under the same APC National Youth Wing Campaign Council. Here, she played a key role in coordinating and supporting youth leaders across the 36 states during the presidential campaign of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, as a passionate advocate for youth and gender inclusion, Fatima Haman has become a very powerful voice for underrepresented groups. She founded the 601 Charity Foundation, a non-profit organization dedicated to helping underprivileged children and families. Her work extends to girl child advocacy, where she leads monthly donations to FCT communities and raises awareness through partnership, charity campaigns, and of course in the digital space, I should say, Fatima created Sage Multimedia Concept. It's an online platform that empowers young Nigerians with daily news and empowerment opportunities. And her expertise as a social media strategist also led her to serve as a consultant to former Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, from 2015 to 2023. And she's earned numerous awards and recognition for her outstanding contributions to youth and women development. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome, but first, the Honorable Minister of Youth Development to late edition this week. Thank you, ma'am, for joining me, and it's a pleasure to take you out of your busy schedule to share your experience with us. Thank you very much. And Honorable Fatima Haman, thank you very much also for coming. It's my pleasure to have you with us to share your... Let's quickly begin, and I'd like the Honorable Minister to share with us what you think about, as a youth yourself, I'm sure you must have engaged many youths. So what do you think of the Nigerian youth? What do you think is driving the Nigerian youths in terms of aspirations, in terms of morals and all that?
Well, for the Nigerian youth, I think that our adaptability to challenges and to adversities actually very commendable. And no matter how tough times are, beyond really being a Nigerian youth, you can, if you remember how Nigeria recovered right after the Civil War, so that's the essence of being Nigerian, basically. And I believe that is the trait that has been the innovative and the innovation and resilience has been transferred to us from generations before now. So it is really not, I wouldn't say that the Nigerian youth alone would take the credit for this resilience, because I believe it's traits that have been transferred to us, and of course from the founding fathers of our nation, and then we have that foundation that they have built for us, and that keeps us going. And I believe that the more, as from the government side now, I believe that the more we create platforms and opportunities for young people to thrive, the more they will actually attain their true full potential. That's right. Yeah,
so I get it. You talk about resilience. And this resilience is not something, it's something that we inherited, of course, from our forefathers, from those who helped to build our nation. Honorable Fatima, these are traits that we already know, because when you go out of this country, you see the resilience of the Nigerian youth in action. And not just the resilience, they never give up spirit and
Exactly.
all that. How do you think these two traits, you may add others if you have contributed to the ability of the Nigerian youth to thrive, of course, in these, economic times?
Oh. Thank you very much. Yes, those keywords are very, very relevant because of the current economical situation. And you see that a lot, that even with the influence of technology development, you see that when youths don't have work to do, they use their creativity to build on it, and they go into other things like social media, and they try to market their products and services. So that's where entrepreneurship comes into play. So I see a lot of that in Nigerian youths. We are very hardworking, very determined, and regardless of the crisis, we still try to push forward and make the best of the situation. So no matter where you find a Nigerian youth, will always excel.
So what drives you? What traits drives you? Let's begin with your experience. You ran for the Ahmad Buhari. What are the traits? What are the motivating traits in you?
I think for me, first of all, passion for people. Yeah, I like to see that wherever I find myself, I try to mix with people and understand the way their culture and the way what makes them happy. So if what makes them happy needs to be worked on more, then I look for ways to increase that. For me, I also feel the passion to make a difference in the society also drives me. I come from a home where my mom says, always remember the home you come from. That's what my parents always tell me that. So I look for the best in anybody, and obviously be the best of who I am. So that drives me a lot.
Very interesting. Interesting. Honorable Minister, I know that you've been in government at the subnational and now at the federal, and as a youth yourself, you're the youngest of the ministers. First of all, how does that how do you feel about that? And what are the challenges that it throws at you?
Well, first of all, I feel very privileged and fortunate to be at this age and minister, to serve my country, given the opportunity to serve my country. Well, yes, everything comes with challenges, and I think, every role comes with challenges, whether you're serving the public or you're just being a member of your family, because the family is the smallest unit that should protect us. We can be our most vulnerable in our family, within the family space. But I can tell you for free that there also challenges do exist within the nuclear family space. So for me, like you said, I've been at the subnational, and not very many people go through this kind of progression basically in their careers. But for me, it happened for me at a young age, and I'm really grateful, beyond being grateful for being privileged or beyond putting in the work. And also, I know that this is all divine design. And then the challenges for a young person, also for a young woman, a lot of, I think it's been a struggle, really, having my voice heard, being at the decision-making table and making my voice count without being offensive, without being too aggressive, and without also trying to struggle for space with the older generation. So I always try to manage that in my navigation through the space. I always try to add value to whatever the older people are doing, because it's only when you create value for yourself that people see you as an asset, and they would like to leverage and see how we can collaborate and work together. And also that by virtue of my role, if you also understand that young people are everywhere. Young people have a role to play in every sector. So people wonder how I'm able to approach the line ministries for the purpose of collaboration and all of that. So for us, for me, what I've also done and what has worked for me as well at the subnational, has worked for me in life, has worked for me as a development practitioner, has always been that you must identify gaps. Right. So, well, even in the process of identifying gaps, you don't come with the attitude that, oh no, you're not doing it well, I can do it better. No. And also you appraise, people acknowledge the work that people are doing. Yes, because no matter how little, people have actually made an effort. So you must acknowledge that and also tell them that, okay, if we work together, this is how much we can achieve. And then, I mean, it will be a win-win for all parties if I'm able to tell you that these are the gaps, or you even open up to me and tell me that these are the gaps that you have. And I always look for innovative ways, creative ways to actually
address those gaps. So now, under your ministry, because someone said that there are three different things that the Nigerian youth want, and one is a system that works. Under your ministry, have you been able to identify the gaps, that the youth would want to be addressed? Can you give us some of those gaps?
Yes. Well, it's very clear. The major gap would be the unemployment rate, basically the unemployment gaps that exist. Yes. So and that has been a long-standing issue, and it's as a result of several factors come into play. Like you said, a system that works. In order to achieve a system that works, and of course, to address these challenges, we have to put mechanisms and policies in place. So the first thing we did when we came on board as minister, and of course with the team and the ministry, we realized that yes, the National Youth Development Policy is now outdated, and even though a committee was commissioned or inaugurated to commence review of that policy document, which was, the previous one was really robust. My predecessors have done a brilliant job in drafting these policies. But however, like I said, will always be gaps. And even the policy document we come up with will not be 100%. But we know that we have improved on something
is that being worked on at the moment?
That is being worked on. So the first thing was, we looked at, we did an assessment basically of the members of the committee. And I realized that the membership of the committee didn't have a decent enough youth representation. So we had to reconstitute this committee.
It's funny, you're doing the draft for the youth, you don't have the youth themselves.
Exactly, like the late Chief Moshood Abiola always says, you cannot shave my head in my absence. So even though some persons may not have been happy with that, but I had the grace to do that and reconstitute the team that was working on it, and it was well received by the ministry, and we're still working, but for some constraints in funding we would have actually completed the process, but I believe that in a couple of weeks we would have made a lot of progress. So in that policy document we've been able to improve on, the committee has been able to improve on. Of course, we know that climate action and environmental sustainability has not really been well captured in the previous policy, and then we know that mental health and youth well-being has not really been well addressed, and because at the time we were not really viewing mental health from the lens that we view it now, because mental health for young people, we didn't see it like in 2019 where the policy document commenced implementation. So the 2019 challenges, that was I believe COVID hadn't hit us then, had it?
Yes, February.
Exactly, 2020 in February, right? That was when COVID-19 hit us. So this document had the implementation commenced in 2019. So the whole there were a lot of COVID issues during intra-COVID and post-COVID. So imagine out of COVID-19, we have now unique challenges that are relevant to COVID.
Okay.
So we now have to now say, okay, a COVID recovery, responsive, post-COVID responsive youth development policy has to have a robust mental health component. And recommendations have come in, and we've decided that we need to establish a youth well-being department in the Ministry of Youth Development. We have written to the head of service, and we're waiting to hear back from them.
I would like to really know, because it's one thing to develop, a policy framework, and then one thing for that policy framework to really address, what is in reality. You talked about unemployment, and I did say that someone said one of the things the youth would want now, a system that works, a system where without ethnic, religious, or cultural biases. And I don't know if Honorable Fatima, Haman, what do you think of our system? Has it really worked for the youth? Has it worked? It has worked for you, but has it worked for the Nigerian youth?
It's working. I'm still in the process. But
okay,
the general,
it's
working.
Yes.
I'm trying to be positive. But for the common Nigerians out there, there are a lot of unemployment rates. It's somehow alarming. But then I think the government in their own way is trying to put in some different programs. I've heard of SIP, NSIP, and all that, which renewed hope under our Excellency, first the President of Nigerian. Although we need to make more efforts in a big way in terms of creating policies. So in terms of the creation of policies, government needs to get youths more involved, because we are the ones, the entrepreneurs or the common Nigerian youth that would aspire to be someone great in the future. They know where the bottlenecks are. They know the type of things that would work for their business. So we need to get more of them involved in decision making. That's not just the youth politicians, or I would say like myself, or more or less the Nigerians. The Nigerians out there that have very good ideas, like their ideas can take it to the next level. We are looking at likes of the international known people that create the ITs, and they are here. You can see them here. And these ideas generate funds.
That's right.
Because when it comes down to it, their creativity can generate funds in every diverse industry. Yes. Agriculture, the financial industry, governmental industry, they've got it. So government needs to set up programs whereby these youths are involved. Just like Honorable Minister mentioned something about sustainability plans. These are very essential too. It has to be sustainable. It has to be able to fit the Nigerian system.
Honorable Minister, maybe you want to respond to some of the points that she's
Oh yes, I took some notes. Thank you very much, Fatima, by the way, for actually stirring up a lot of encouraging, responses in me, because you've asked questions, and I'm here excited that, I have answers to a lot of these questions. Amazing. And that's why when you said that information is power, I totally agree with you. And then also when Mrs. Adilabu, also Mrs. Abdulrazak,
Claire will be okay.
also said that we may be surprised. Well, it was Fatima who said that a lot of people do not have access to the internet or to technology. And I think that we actually limit ourselves to our immediate environment so much that we don't know that there's a much larger population out there that is actually excluded in our programs, initiatives, and beyond programs and initiatives, beyond even access to the internet, access to, technology basically, or internet. A lot of communities, and I think it's more of a majority And that's why for us in our programs and initiatives, we're very, very sensitive to people who are in underserved communities to ensure that they're more included and they feel the impact and they're more part of, government and our programs and initiatives. So we're very, very particular about inclusion, and we have an inclusion strategy for one of our programs and initiatives that we have, like the Youth Investment Fund. I'm sure you've heard about the Youth Investment Fund. That's speaking to access to capital for young people and also creating an enabling environment and a platform for young people to thrive. You touched on mentorship, you touched on access to capital, and you touched on just harnessing this energies and innovative potential of young people by creating a platform. We're aware that the Youth Investment Fund was launched during the past administration, and then we came on board and we saw that there's no need to reinvent the wheel. Instead, we will strengthen what this investment fund is doing, because we did a review and we know that it's a laudable initiative, but we must strengthen it to improve on it, the impact, the reach, and also the return on investment, to ensure that the funds that are being disbursed, we're able to put mechanisms in place to ensure that we recover these funds and that it comes back and it has impacted on the young people. We're able to see on the ground that these are the number of businesses that have been impacted. So we decided, okay, we took a memo to the Federal Executive Council, which was approved, and in that memo, the Presidential Initiative on Youth Enterprise Clusters was born. Right. So this initiative on enterprise clusters, now we've mentioned that we have young people who are doing great things in the digital technology space, like Inyo Lua Aboyeji, who created Andela and Flutterwave, the tech unicorns, and there's so many young Nigerians who are doing great things. Like we have Aisha Rahim, who also set up Farm to You, which is an innovative solution to agriculture, basically. So we're saying now that we have platforms that we're creating this. PIEC, it is called for short, that's the Presidential Initiative on Youth Enterprise Clusters, is leveraging on the sectors of priority and economic advantage to our country, and of course as priorities as an administration. We have clusters in the digital economy, we have clusters in the creative economy, we have agricultural clusters, we have also clusters in the extractive sector, which is mining, and the blue economy, which is also an emerging one, and we're seeing how we co-create with subnationals, bringing the governors on board and also working with the local governments and the communities to see that young people are brought on board.
Honorable Minister, I like what you're doing, but when we come back from the break, I would like you to also talk to us, because you've read out a lot of windows that you are opening, especially for youth who have the knowledge and skill. But there are also those who have the knowledge but no skill, and those who have the skill but no knowledge. So are you also opening the window, the doors to this category of youths? But you'll get to respond when we come back from the break. You're watching Late Edition. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Right, welcome back, and you're watching Late Edition. So this week I'm joined by the youngest minister in the Federal Republic, the Honorable Minister of Youth and Development, Dr. Jamila Ibrahim Bio, as well as one of our youngest politicians, Honorable Fatima Haman. And both of them are sharing with me the resilience and not relenting capacity of the Nigerian youth. Thank you very much. Honorable Youth, you were talking to us about, the windows you have made or opened for Nigerian youth. And I'm asking, what about the youth who is not knowledgeable enough, who has not gone to school, but does not have means, to earn a living? I mean, that youth is also within the sphere of your care, isn't it?
That's right.
Yes. So do you also have shelter to accommodate such youth?
Certainly. The Ministry of Youth Development was actually created by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to ensure that we address, the social well-being, social, economic, and of course, holistic approach basically to the well-being of young people. And every young person falls under, our care, like you said.
You're under your watch.
Under our watch, yes, and we're here to ensure that we create opportunities, we bridge gaps of lack of poor inclusion of young people to make sure that they're part of the economic development of Nigeria. So I spoke about the presidential initiative on youth enterprise clusters. So we need, and we also mentioned that there's an apparent, a clear skills gap. So the PIAC initiative now, we need skilled young people, right, to be part of this initiatives, be at these clusters, and to be either be heads of these clusters or be part of these clusters, right? But if we don't build their capacities and skill them up to participate, then there will be a huge
So this is a skills building platform.
It's part of it. Because the Federal Executive Council also approved that we need to build capacity of young people as part of implementation of the Restructured Youth Investment Fund, which has, like I said, bettered the PIAC initiative. So we also mentioned the fact that we have young people, some of them are educated and unskilled, and some are skilled and uneducated. So we also are very, very aware of this, and we've classified young people into the low risk, medium risk, and high risk youth. So the high risk is the bracket that you mentioned, young people who are not unskilled and uneducated. So when an individual is unskilled and educated, it's very easy for them to vent out their frustration because they feel that they have been excluded, they have been marginalized, and for a very long time. And we saw that play out during the recent nationwide protests. And we have actually been putting mechanisms in place even before the protests came upon us. So we knew that this was going to be a challenge, but we didn't know it was going to happen so soon. However, we have put in place mechanisms to make provision to cater to young people who are in this high risk category. So the medium risk ones are young people who are either skilled and unskilled and educated. So if a person is educated, then they are aware. The level of ignorance isn't as high. But then if they're educated and unskilled or uneducated, but they have a skill, they can actually find a means of livelihood, but it may not be optimal, but then they will get by. So they are medium risk, right? So, but the low risk are those who are skilled and educated. So we have programs and initiatives designed for these three groups. That's right. Because every group requires different funding levels, different skilling levels, and all of that. So we're also in the process of conducting a skills audit of the Nigerian youth and evaluating the youth development centers as well, so that we can be able to categorize these centers to know which ones, I want to be able to put on my TV screen that I monitor these centers across the country and see, okay, in the Northwest, for instance, we have young people, we have centers in Sokoto, in Katsina that, are equipped, and we have young people who need certain kind of skills. So we should be able to do that across the country. So we are channeling resources in the right direction. So that is one. So one of the programs now is the National Youth Skills Program. which is collaborating with the NEL Fund, that's the Student Loan Fund.
Yes.
You know, the NEL Fund is designed for, it also has a provision for skilling, right? So we realized that, okay, there's a gap, like I said, when we acknowledge that, oh, they're doing an amazing job, this is a brilliant initiative, and then we approached the NEL Fund, and they were very, very ready to work with us, and I'm sure later today we will be talking more about our collaboration.
Yes, because even the MD mentioned it, because we've also featured the MD of NEL Fund on this program, and he featured the collaboration to provide students with skills so that when they leave, they'll be able to be gainfully employed to repay.
Exactly. Exactly. So another angle of our collaboration is there are, it's the easier or the more the most short-term intervention that the NEL Fund will have is the impacting young people, skilling up, supporting young people or students who are within the formal education sector.
Yes.
Right, the formal education space now, system. But then the young people who are not captured in the formal sector now, these are the young people we are most worried about, and we are saying that NEL Fund, we need to work together. The ministry will work with you. We are in the process of setting up a youth data bank. Right, where this will serve as a data repository for young people. We'll be able to find their employment status. We'll be able to know where they are, what they're doing, and what their skills needs are, and all of that. So this is one very strong area of collaboration with the NEL Fund. So, and like I said, we are not just here to work in silos or to exist as, we're Ministry of Youth Development and all of that, and we don't want to work with you. No, we're creating a platform where we can properly deploy a whole of government approach, properly coordinate programs and initiatives, and also monitor effectively what we're doing across board.
Wonderful. Honorable Fatima, you may want to weigh in on any of the points that she has raised, but I would also take you specifically. You're a politician, and recently we know that why we've seen a number of Nigerian youths, coming out and contesting and vying for political positions. It's one because of the enablement of the Not Too Young to Run Act, which a former president, Muhammad Buhari, signed into law. But then again, the recent statistics that Yaga Africa, gave between 2018 and 2023. Indicates a drop in the numbers of youth candidates, a decline, in fact. This is what I got from Yaga, from 34% in 2019 to 28.6% in 2023. And Yaga goes on to disaggregate House of Reps. Candidates rate dropped from 27.4% 2019 to 21.6% in 2023, and under the State House of Assembly, it was 41% in 2019, but it dropped to 35.6% in 2023. So I'm just asking, what is happening?
Well, I'd say first of all, the participation of politicians, would even say youths, female, I'd say, because I'm a female politician, is dismal. Just like you rightly said, it's declining, and we have to do something about it. That's even on the international level. Let's come back home. From my figures, which I think clearly, the seat for senators for female senators is, let's say, 3 out of 450, and let's say 6 out of 360 would say for House of Representatives. So this decline is because of, we could go back to the policies. Everything is political.
We're talking about youth. Youth participation.
Youth participation.
When the Not Too Young to Run Act, came up. We saw vibrancy, and again, 2019, there were quite a number of youths. But suddenly, you guys went cold, and indeed someone said that, of course, there are two kinds of, two sets of youth politicians, those who really know what they want and those who do not really know what they want. I mean, those who know what they want and those who really do not know what they want. Those who know what they want, go out for it, like you. Yeah. Those who do not know what they want, just flock around politicians and, just there. Yeah. So do the youths really know what they want when they vie for political, positions?
Yeah, most of them, I'd say most of them do know what they want. But they also need the platform. They need more encouragement from people that are there already.
What kind of encouragement else do you need?
Oh, we do need a lot, because
the age of representation has been reduced for you, and I'm sure that a lot of the political platforms now give you more opportunities. But please go ahead. I'm sorry to interject.
Yes, no. These opportunities have to be on an official basis. We cannot do anything. We can say we are politicians, but if you don't give us the opportunity to be appointed, are we really politicians? We have to be given their policies that can govern this to come to life. The House of Assembly have policies that can govern it to have more youths. Yes, they said the platform is there. You can go out. We want you in the system. But just like you rightly said, how many people are in the system? If given the opportunity, yes. But if not given the opportunity, it's political.
Are you talking from experience?
I'm talking from experience.
Yes.
Because I had to curve my own political career to make sense. The passion for people is there. I've tried to get an appointment on my own. And I'm hopeful that my party will appoint me. But in the interim, I have to do something. I have to educate people, not to give up their hopes in politics.
But your
to see the better in what
your party provided you a platform, and you did get up to the level of primaries.
But I wasn't appointed.
If there was no platform, you wouldn't get there.
Yes, but another thing is funding. How many people have the financial fund? I say so many things. Education is luxury, which seems to be a way out of poverty, but not many people have the money to go to school.
So was funding that prevented you?
Funding did not prevent me, but the politics behind it. As a woman, I was sidelined because there were a lot of men there that were running for politics. We needed more push. The men need to push us more and say, yes, we'll shift, just like what is happening overseas now. Kamala is given the opportunity to be the first female president.
Yes.
We just appointed the new minister, Korean minister, for the first time. There's changes on the international grounds. It needs to happen here.
We also have the youngest Nigerian minister, youth.
I'm very proud of her. Yeah. I'm proud of our minister, but we need more of that.
Okay, I think
you should say something. I didn't want to interrupt her while she was speaking. Yes, a lot of factors have come to play over the years. That yes, many young people haven't had seats at decision-making tables. Many young people haven't been given opportunities. Policies or bills or laws have not been in place to enable young people participate and tweak the playing ground a little bit for young people, right? So she mentioned funding, and I think that it hurts me a lot when I hear that funding is the reason why people do not win elections. So the kind and the way people were elected will determine the quality of leadership and representation that we have. And that hurts me a lot when we commercialize leadership, we commercialize politics. Well, that's not what we're talking about now, right? We're talking about youth representation, right? Well, for us, the Not Too Young to Run bill has been passed. Yes, I know that a lot of advocacy, high-level advocacy needs to go on. A lot of horse trading to ensure that young people are given more opportunities to come into limelight and be participants, active participants in the political space. The political parties need to have policies aligning with the not too young to run bill. So beyond, implementation should go beyond, okay, just saying it's a bill and you must, implement. Then states, governments and parties, political parties and structures across parties also should have a form of incentivization, like incentives should be given to them to ensure that they encourage more young people and push for more young people to be represented. So, of course, advocacy and high-level, lobbying and all of that. And the Ministry of Youth Development, I see us as a as a veritable platform for that kind of lobbying.
Precisely.
Yes, because for me, I've taken it upon myself to actually reach out to some governors, especially now that the local government elections are approaching, also to see how we have more young people, young women, young men also be part of, because for us, we have that voice at the table and we are ready to use our influence to support young people. And let's not forget, just like we passed the not too young to run bill, we have the 30% youth inclusion bill, because we saw that yes, the implementation of the not too young to run bill is not doing so well, and the participation and inclusion is declining for young people. We can say the same thing for women as well. So now we decided that we would take a bill to the Federal Executive, a memo to the Federal Executive Council, because Mr. President is highly committed to empowering young people politically and economically. And you can see that we have more, he has empowered more young people than any president that I remember since my adult age, basically, or since I've been, an aware young Nigerian. So he's the one who has done a lot more when it comes to giving young people.
There's no doubt about that.
Yes,
absolutely.
And because we want this to be a lasting legacy for Mr. President, and of course because Mr. President had also demonstrated his willingness to push for this bill to actually, for this policy, 30% youth quota policy that we have taken to FEC, to push through an executive bill now to ensure that no government after him does a minimum of 30% inclusion of young people in government.
Right. We should give, yes. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
And because I'm a young woman and I've been through the whole, struggle of having my voice heard and all. So, and I know the challenges that young women go through. So we have now been able to sneak in an equitable young women inclusion as well. So that means we will be splitting up 15-15 out of the 30. The young men have 15%, the young women have 15%. A minimum of 30 as a whole. So I know we're also aware that some states have done more, because the state I come from, Kwara State, has done a lot more for young people. I believe we have about 50% or even more. We're saying, yes, that is good, brilliant. But we're saying that there's some states who, and then if they've gone that high, 50%, then they need to also legislate, right? To also say that no government after us should do less than we have done.
Yes,
right.
the good one.
So these are legacies that, people should pursue. So now, we're now saying that 30%, that after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, once this youth quota bill passes, with the support and of the House of Representatives and the Senate, the National Assembly as a whole, right, if they work with us and pass this executive bill of the 30% youth inclusion in governance across the federal, the state and the local government, then after President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we do not expect that any president will come and give young people less than 30% inclusion, right? But if they have already done 30%, then we'll look at incentives now that will encourage them to do more.
So this memo is coming from your office to the Federal Executive Council.
It has gone. It has
been approved. It has been approved.
Now it's time to institutionalize with an act of parliament.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'm also going to ask now. Again, you touched on this, earlier on about students' participation, using protest as a way of, communicating their grievances, their anger and all that. And we've seen, youths, who become violent and all that. And I'm wondering, how can we change, this narrative where, youths decide to, air their grievances, to protest, to violence and all that. Let me start with Honorable Fatima.
Yeah, I think the last occurrences had shaped a lot in the system. Yeah, so basically, there are grievances. Let's first start by realizing these are the hurdles that were faced in the past. But being very practical, we definitely have to provide.
Yes.
Still need to provide opportunities for the youths so that these type of occurrences don't happen again. And it comes down to enabling more employment, skills acquisitions,
Yes.
trainings for the youths, getting them more involved. They also need to know how to leverage on technology and network with people and government enterprises that would enable them to get on the platform to use their time to do something useful. Because there are a lot of opportunities there. Nigerian youths, like I said earlier, we are innovative,
Yes.
we are creative, and we are the only people that can define our future.
My producer is asking me to round up. But let me just give you and allow the Honourable Minister to quickly, conclude their thoughts. Yes. Quickly conclude your thoughts.
So in
please.
conclusion, we're the only people that can define our future. You got to make the best of everything out there. The government, yes, they are involved, but what are you doing to enable yourself a better future?
Exactly.
Because at the end of the day, the future is in your hands, not in the hands of the Nigerian government.
Honourable Minister, I'm sorry. I know you have your book is filled up, but please just give us your final.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll just touch on my final thoughts, being that the Renewed Hope Youth Development Strategy has 4 pillars, which is the first is governance and strengthening of institutions, and the second is culture and behavioral change, and the third rather being jobs, skills, and innovation, right? And the fourth pillar being human capital development. So we've talked about how young people, we can avoid such occurrences, of course, and these pillars are governed by 3 major principles, the 3 E's we call them. That's engagement of young people, and education of young people, and empowerment of young people. So it's only when we engage with young people, then we will know their educational needs and know what they require, what skills levels they are on and what they require. And then it's when we have skilled young people that we have now empowered them. So that's my final thought.
Dr. Jamila Ibrahim Bio, I am afraid it's always when you're having the better part of a conversation, time just creeps on you. Dr. Jamila Ibrahim Bio, Minister of Youth Development, I'd like to thank you and appreciate you for finding time to come join us. And I hope that you will come again.
Certainly.
Yes, you will come again and we'll have
I really thought that this was going to be a very long time, but I realized that even the time we had was not enough, so I look forward to coming again.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Honourable Fatima Hammond, thank you very much for coming as well. And we look forward to having you again on our program.
Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you both of you.
I enjoyed my time.
And that's where we end today's edition of Late Edition. And a special thanks, of course, to our Honourable Youngest Minister of Youth Development, Dr. Jamila Ibrahim Bio. It was a pleasure indeed having her on our program. And we also want to appreciate Honourable Fatima Hammond, who's a politician and a businesswoman. Always a pleasure to also have her on our program. And of course to you for keeping this program alive. And we'll come back same time next week. From me and my production crew, thank you for watching and bye-bye.